What's going on, everybody? How we doing today? Let me go ahead and make sure we're all squared away. I believe we are. No, that's not. We are live across 5 platforms right now. We're up on YouTube. I want to say we're on Facebook. We're on, was it YouTube, Facebook? We are on, here we go. That's a better one. We're on YouTube. We are on Facebook. We are on Kick, Twitch, and I want to say one other. We're not on LinkedIn anymore, but we are alive across 5 platforms right now. Specifically today, what it is I'm going to be doing, I'm going to be going over Russell Westbrook's film. Let me just make sure I'm getting set on my end. Streaming is relatively new. I want to say I started streaming probably like, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. So this is relatively new, but the goal is to really do these film breakdowns and provide you all with as much value as possible. I actually got a lot of good feedback from players and non-players as well. Players and non-players as well about the film breakdowns that we do. And I know we had it live on Instagram, but there have been issues with Instagram lately, especially when I pre-record the live streams to go up, and I'm not able to see the feed in certain ways. So we will be doing everything on YouTube from here on out. So I want to say the 5 places. Yeah, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Kick, we're on Twitch. So welcome those of you who are joining us on all those different platforms. Today specifically, as I mentioned, let me just not sign up on YouTube, but just make sure we're all set on YouTube. Specifically, we're talking about Russell Westbrook retiring. Right? Russell Westbrook is one of my favorite players, to be quite honest with you, just in terms of how he approached the game mentally. Russell was a dog. He's not somebody I had a personal relationship with or got to know super well. I met him once when I was a chaplain for the Miami Heat. And, dude, really, really nice guy and an ultimate professional. I really like the way that, again, I don't necessarily know him super well as a dude. I just know that I have respect for him in the way that he carries himself and his craft, and seems to be a good family man as well. And yeah, man, just shout out Russell Westbrook on an amazing career. I think he's one of the players who's gotten a lot of hate for whatever reason. Some people just don't like him. Everybody has their reasons, right? Some people don't like him. Some people thought the way he treated the media was kind of bogus. I don't necessarily agree with that. I think sometimes you don't necessarily like a guy, but I think in general, it's, not, this is something that I wish fans understood more is, not everybody in the media has your best interest in mind, right? Not everybody in sports media has your best interest in mind. I think there are some people who I have the utmost respect towards, because even as a professional athlete myself, I have a lot of respect. There's a guy named Tim Reynolds for the Miami Heat. Shout out Tim Reynolds. I remember I played a game here in college. And didn't get a lot of playing time that season. I wasn't a big star on Georgetown's team or playing a whole lot. But I remember Tim Reynolds, he came out to the game when we played here in Miami. I got in at the end, and it was, I won't go into that story today, but Tim ended up interviewing me after the game. And ever since then, I've had a deep respect for Tim and just the respect that he showed me. Him and I have talked about basketball and caught up even when I was a chaplain for the Heat. I'd see him at the arena sometimes, and I think he's the beat writer for the Miami Heat, and we follow each other on IG. But no, Tim's a good dude, and I respect him. I know that, sometimes, like I was saying with Russell Westbrook, and I think even if you remember basketball at this level, my dad, he wasn't the best friend of the media. Not everybody liked him or wanted to be around Alonzo Mourning earlier in his career. He had these things called Zoe days, from what I understand. And what a Zoe day is when he would field questions from the media. The other days he wouldn't field questions from the media, but there would be some days that were Zoe days, and he would field questions from the media on these Zoe days, which is super funny. And then he kind of changed his mindset because of certain things, and the rest of the week he wouldn't speak to the media except on Zoe days, which is super funny. So I know some people didn't necessarily like interacting with my dad, but he's definitely. I don't remember my dad being that type of person, but maybe those members of the media do. Anyways, the point that I was making with Russell Westbrook, I think Russell Westbrook, he's often misunderstood. I think he cares so much about the game. He's the ultimate professional from what I've seen. There's no way you play 18 years in the NBA and are successful at that without being an ultimate professional. And if you look at Russell Westbrook's stats, like let me pull it up on the stream now. I want to figure out a way to be able to change. I need a panel here, but I need to figure out a way to be able to, and I'll do that, to figure out a way to be able to change the screens up while I keep looking at the main screen. I think that's extremely helpful. Russell Westbrook career stats. So I use this app called Whisper Flow, by the way, and that's how I'm able to speak to text. It's extremely helpful. Russell Westbrook career stats. I know it off the top of my head. His career stats are 28-6, I want to say. That's his last year. Yeah, 27 and that's not career, is it? I don't think that's career. It might be career. But dude damn near averaged a triple-double his whole entire career, which is absolutely nuts. Let's look. Career, yeah, 27 and 8. 21, 7 rebounds and 8 assists. That's a ridiculous stat line. It's an absolutely ridiculous stat line to average for a whole career. Like those are all-star numbers. Those are all-star numbers for a season, right? If a guy is averaging that in a season, those are all-star numbers. And another thing I really respect about Russell Westbrook is he left the league the same way he came in the league. So if you look at his stats, OKC, you look at 15.3 points here, and then 15.2 his last year in the league. He actually improved from the LA Clippers and Denver Nuggets. Granted, he was playing different roles on these teams and all of that, but man, he was fourth in MVP voting this year, first, fifth, 10th, and then he was MVP conversation in 2021 with the Wizards too, which is pretty crazy. So, yeah, man, like Russ is a legend, man. He's a legend. He was Rookie of the Year, fourth in Rookie of the Year voting. I want to say that's what that means. But, man, Russ, shout out to you for an amazing career, what it is you're able to do. Doc, what up, dude? Yeah, I saw that too. Yeah, I saw that viral clip of my dad shaking Dennis Rodman's hand, and I thought it was funny and heartwarming at the same time since they were in a heated rivals. But we're able to put that aside in competitive rivalry. Dude, it's so funny. Not a lot of people know this, but my dad did a retirement party in 2009. When my dad retired from the NBA in 2009, he did a retirement party here in Miami. And uninvited, completely uninvited, Dennis Rodman walks into this retirement party, right? Frankie Beverly and Mays is performing. It was a show. It was dope. It was a really, really good time. A bunch of people are there. And then I'm with my dad and my mom, and I look to the front. I see Dennis Rodman walk in. And I asked my dad, like, did he get invited? And he's like, no, he just showed up. And my dad just kept, like, doing his thing, kept partying, all that stuff. But no, I think there's maybe this belief that, like, there's a lot of hate. And granted, they were competitive players and rivals during their career. But to say it this way, my dad doesn't really give a shit about, like, I think not just my dad, but just great players. They don't really hold grudges like that. I think, yeah, there's some people you don't necessarily like, but, like, dude, life is short, and we're all trying to achieve the same thing in professional athletics. Right? We're all trying to score on one another and win and all these different things. So we're competing. And to the fan, it may come off as like, wow, these two guys don't like one another. But, like, at the end of the day, we're like, both men have families. Both men, just athletes in general. Athletes have families. Athletes have, so much going on that, like, people say, oh, they're rivals and they don't like each other. It was really, clips that went viral and fans make a bigger deal about stuff than players actually do, to be quite honest with you. So that's what I'll say, and I'll leave it at that. But it was super funny. Dennis Rodman just walked in, and I was like, did he get invited? And did you invite him? And he was like, no, I didn't invite him. But no, super funny, man. It's funny how the world works. But that's that. And shout out Russell Westbrook, man. Amazing career, what it is he's able to do. Let's actually pull that up. Not just the Russell Westbrook stuff. Also, if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, please go ahead and subscribe to my YouTube channel right now. I post content on a regular basis, not just episodes of The Rookie and the Vet, which is a show where I sit down with athletes who have made it in sport, athletes, executives, coaches, all these different people who have made it in sport. And we talk about how they made it in sport, right? I got some exciting conversations coming up in the next few weeks. Sat down in the past couple of weeks with Katino Mobley, Antoine Walker, Darius Miles, Quentin Richardson, my dad about a couple months ago, and my good friend Ariane Rashid, who is an entrepreneur here in South Florida. She actually partnered with me in the show, and she runs a Pilates studio called Tremble. They started here in South Florida. They're at 57 locations all around the world. They've done some amazing things. She's been a big sister in business to me, and a big sister in life in a lot of ways. So no, I'm extremely grateful for her, and she's a partner of The Rookie and the Vet. And I do Pilates. I know other athletes do Pilates, and I think Pilates has this stigma of being, a woman's type of exercise, but it's not, man. Pilates kicks my butt, and I think I've been in the class with other athletes, and I remember my dad even saying that was the hardest workout he's done in his life. So shout out Tremble, shout out Arian, and shout out all the men who hopped on the show with me in the past few weeks. And I look forward to sharing some more conversations with you all coming up. But I share videos often about film breakdowns similar to what we're going to do today. This is a live stream, and then parent education, player education, news and reactions, things of that nature. You can check my playing highlights out, and then other podcast appearances I've done on these other podcasts, right? So that's that. But let's look up Alonzo Mourning and Dennis Rodman. It's so funny. This has 17,000 views. This is back when there were, I talked about those Alonzo days or whatever, when my dad would just do one media appearance per week. He would only speak to the media once per week. This is when he was doing those Alonzo days. I have a habit of slowing film down, and then I not just slow the film down, I mute it. Basketball is a business at the end of the day, and the announcers are granted, some announcers are great. I'm not throwing shade. What I am saying is a lot of times announcers won't give you a breakdown of, hey, this is why this is happening on the basketball court. They're trying to keep you engaged and locked in and saying their catchphrases and stuff like that. But again, not throwing shade at these announcers. I'm just keeping it a buck. See, I think Dennis, I think I love what Dennis, what was said in The Last Dance about Dennis. I think it was so great. The end of 30-year beef. It's just clickbait. To be quite honest with you, they don't care that much. But and also, like, professional athletes don't see each other that often. It's not like my dad and Dennis Rodman are in the same circles. So yeah. So it can look like there's a lot of hate and all that stuff. But what I was saying about Dennis Rodman is that Dennis, he, in The Last Dance, the Sonics were, I think it was Gary Payton or Sean Kemp. They were talking about how Michael Jordan wasn't the player who beat them during that series, but it was Dennis Rodman, and just what Dennis Rodman would do, his antics and all that stuff, and how he got people going. And you see it now. Like, this is why mental toughness, this is why in the program that I run, the Varsity Performance System, I really share with athletes and parents how important it is to get your mind right. Because if you develop the ability to not be phased, to be unfuckwithable, if you develop that ability on the court, you're a problem. You really are a problem. Like, if you really develop that ability to, regardless of what happens, you're not swinging, you're not throwing punches, you're not pissed at people. Like, look, my dad's really pissed there. Both are competing, but like, dude, like, if you develop the ability to not give a fuck what happens, and just be like, it sounds weird to be like a corpse out there on the court, where you're like, I don't care. It's like Kobe, that one famous clip of, let's look at this. I want to share this clip. It's that Mamba mentality. I always felt it's the heat of the moment type of deal when two guys got on the court, but off the court, it's very few guys carry that animosity towards each other. Yeah, like, you don't. And Doc, I appreciate you being here again, man. I think, yeah, man, it's just, they're off the court. You got a family, you got life, you got other stuff going on. So it's like, I don't care. It's like, I don't care. Like, I'm on the court playing against you, and like, maybe some guys care. Like, I know some guys professionally. I know of some guys who, and I'll never say who, but I know of some guys who they keep old tweets. They'll keep like old tweets and old messages from people just to get themselves going. To get themselves going. I love mate. To get themselves going. And that was never really me. I just don't care about what other people think. Like, granted, there are times where you can get motivated and amped up to go to battle and all these different things, but no, I don't think it's that deep. What did I want to show you? Kobe not being bothered by Chris Rock. And I know I said we'll get into Russell Westbrook's film. I really titled these videos to really have a guide for where it is that we're going to go in this conversation, and we'll keep the title of the video the same, because I will go into Chris to. I might change the title. I don't know what the title is going to be, but Kobe not being bothered by Chris Rock and Kevin Hart. Yeah, this is one of my favorite. Kobe's just locked in. Chris Rock is when Grown Ups was about to come out. Kobe's just stone cold, like locked in, dude. Kobe's a freaking killer. He was a killer, man. Just locked in. I think, like, yeah. And I think a lot of people will make a big deal about it. And I even think it's so funny what fans talk about as versus players. Like, it's just so interesting, the conversations that kind of get steam and get viral and all that stuff. Like, as a player, like, there's certain things that happen I don't really think about. Like, I've had people talk about my mother during a game in high school, I remember. And then after the game, they were like, "Did you hear that?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't." Granted, I heard about it, and like, it was messed up what was said, really messed up what was said. And it was a high school rival. It was a school here in Miami. I won't mention the school's name, but it was our rival in high school. And they were talking about my mother in the stands. While I was at the free throw line and saying some mean stuff, but I didn't hear it at all. I was locked in. I was focused. You said that Tim Duncan was a master of keeping his cool against guys. He was super stoic in confrontations. When you watch old clips of him in confrontations with guys like Kevin Garnett. Yeah, I think, like, my main piece of advice is that, like, emotions aren't trustworthy, right? Emotions aren't trustworthy. Like, let's say this. Let's say I can have a goal to get a six pack and get all these results in the gym and get these college offers and stuff like that. I'm not gonna feel like going to the gym some days. I'm gonna feel tired. I'm gonna feel sad. I'm gonna feel all these different things. And it doesn't mean that we can't feel these emotions. These emotions are very important to feel. And I think the healthiest people in the world, they give themselves time to feel these emotions, right? I give myself time to cry. I give myself time to be like, damn, I'm tired. Like, this is a tough day. And I know that I'm not going to process these emotions on stream. You know, I give myself the time to do that and then step into work and execute, right? This is why journaling is so important. And one of the biggest shifters in the program in terms of mindset for all the players that we work with within the varsity performance system, they see a big difference when they start journaling. When they start journaling on a consistent basis, it's literally like washing your hands before you step out on the court. Like, if going out on the court, we're cooking or something like that. If you journal, if you set a timer, and my best season professionally, I was in New Zealand, having 35.17 rebound games and 37.13 rebound games. I was going off, right? I journaled before those games. And I just went out on the court. And I remember I had this coach in college. And he would, I'll answer that question in just a bit. He would smack us on our chests before we walk out on the court, right? He would smack us on our chest, and he would yell at us if we're not as hype as him. And it would be annoying. Like, you know, shout out to that coach. It would be so annoying. And one of the reasons I like professional basketball, and granted, one of the reasons I like being an entrepreneur and running my own thing as opposed to being on a team, not to say being on a team is a bad thing. I think teams are very important, is because sometimes when you're led by other people, you have to reach, in their eyes, in unhealthy dynamics, you have to reach their level of excitement. You have to reach their level of emotional rah, rah, rah. And it's like, dude, like, I want to listen to gospel before the game. I really do. I want to listen to gospel before the game. Like, I'll listen to some of the music in the locker room, but like, I want to go out on the court and be calm. I don't want to go on the court and be like amped up and ready to run through a wall. It's like, no, I'd rather kill you and just look at you afterwards like, hey, good game. And that will bother you more. Like, you hear DeMarcus Cousins talking. DeMarcus Cousins had a very good career. He wasn't a Tim Duncan, right? You hear him talking about Tim Duncan, and we can bring that clip up, and I will. DeMarcus Cousins about Tim Duncan. And DeMarcus was talking about how Tim Duncan killed him. Like, he absolutely killed him. He absolutely crushed him, man. And he was kind about it. He was like, okay, like, just going about the business, going through the motions and all that stuff. But let me go ahead and answer this question before we go on. So, Doc, you said, Trey, how do you keep your cool when a guy is talking a ton of vile stuff to you on the court, and on top of that, you can't stop him defensively, and he just rubbing it in every possession that he scores on you? Well, to be honest with you, I haven't, and this may seem like a lie, I haven't been in many of those situations. But I'm not saying I don't know what to do in those situations. A lot of it comes down to doing your work before. Just do your work before. So think about it this way. If a guy is busting my ass on the court, it is usually because I haven't prepared to the same level that he has prepared, right? Which has nothing to do with the current moment. It has everything to do with the stuff that happened before, right? So if I'm playing, let's say I'm playing against DeMarcus Cousins, and he was a better player than I was, no doubt. If I'm playing against DeMarcus Cousins, and granted, I believe I could hold my own, but that nigga was nice. If I'm playing against DeMarcus Cousins and he gives me a bucket, I can think about it from the perspective of like, okay, like, he's giving me a bucket because I'll break it down logically. Like, he's either stronger than me, which is the case. I remember being in camp with the Houston Rockets, and he was there too. We never played against each other at camp, but I remember seeing him during workouts. And he's stronger than me, so it's like, okay, I'm giving up that size, and I have to figure out how to mix and maneuver and make the catch tough and push him out so that, I can have my guys dig down and help and take the ball away from him and things like that, so I can get a stop in a different way. If I'm stronger than him, I'm able to push him and be physical and all that. At that time, I was really strong. I think I was like 240. I was 246 pounds with like 6-7% body fat after a workout. Like, I was cut. I was huge. Right now, I'm like 236, but I was freaking huge. So I was the strongest I've ever been, and pushing people around. A lot of the stuff that you're saying, man, like, yes, he can give me a bucket and talk mess, but like, I like thinking about it from this perspective. If somebody is talking shit about you, it should only bother you if it's true, right? So from this perspective, like, if I say, I've heard somebody say it this way, like, Doc, if I say to you, like, you have blue hair, man, I hate your blue hair, right? You look at me like, you're like, huh? Like, I don't have blue hair. I don't have blue hair. For me, it's the same exact way. Like, what would he be saying? Like, what would DeMarcus Cousins or Tim Duncan or another player be saying to me? He's like, I'm cooking you. He's telling the truth. If he scores on me possession after possession after possession, I'm like, damn, he's cooking me. You have to embrace the fact that some things are true, right? Somebody can go out on the court and bust your ass. It's true, right? You embrace it, and then you do something about it, right? I think the issue happens when players are like, nah, that's not happening. That's not happening. That's not happening. It's like, no, I just got dunked on twice. I have to figure out what it is that I'm going to have to do with it, Hopefully that makes sense. I think that makes sense. But I think, and then figure out like what it is you can do about it, right? I think some people are very prideful and they feel like they're disrespected and like, okay, I'm going to do something different. I even think like if you point to biblically, like disrespect is, I love teaching from this verse. And one of the verses is, it's when Jesus is talking about turning the other cheek, right? I believe I don't know if it's the Sermon on the Mount, but he's talking about turning the other cheek. Like if somebody strikes you on your cheek, you're supposed to turn the other cheek. What that teaching is, it needs to be taught culturally within the context of what was going on at the time. If you're struck on the cheek and you turn the other cheek, during those times, if you're hit with your backhand, with the backhand of the right hand, right? The left hand was seen as unclean in that culture. So if I hit you with my right hand and it's a backhand, it's not an open hand, it's always a backhand, right? I hit you with the backhand, right? I'm going to hit you on your right cheek, okay? If I turn the other cheek this way, I'm not letting you hit me on my right cheek again, right? So I'm still staying in relationship with you within reason, right? God doesn't promote us to be in abusive relationships. But I'm still in a relationship within reason, but I'm like, hey, dude, I'm not going to let you disrespect me like that no more. I'll stay here and I'll play this game. Like, let's say you have a problem with somebody calling you out your name, right? You're a player and you got a problem with somebody calling you out your name. If that bothers you, I'm like, hey, bro, like, we could chop it up. You could talk your talk on the court. Don't call me out my name, bro. I'm standing on that, and I set a boundary, and whatever needs to be set is set, and whatever needs to be done if that boundary gets crossed is done. I'm not telling you to allow people to walk all over you. That's how I would handle that situation now, right? That's how I would handle that situation now. Yeah, I know what I know now. I don't know if I would have handled it that way before. I'm definitely not as wise as I was before. I'm more wise now than I was before, and I would handle those situations that way now, man. So I think a lot of times in basketball, especially in the league, like, people are going to try to punk you, right? People are going to try to punk you. People are going to try to, okay, like, let me test him and see what he's about. And if you give them a reason to punk you, they're going to punk you. But if you don't give them a reason to punk you, they're not going to punk you. So, Doc, I hope that answers the question, but I want to hear what he talks about here, Boogie.
I don't want to hear no top 5 without Tim Duncan in it. Like,
I respect that, bro.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen.
Like, that's just how
that.
I feel. I think he's one of the most disrespected. Fuck the basketball part, just winners of all time. Like,
Yep.
But why do you think? Because, I mean, is it the Old Navy? Is it the baggy fits?
The sandals.
Is it the Birkenstock
It wasn't
sandals?
sexy.
yeah,
I do think about that too. Tim Duncan is not a sexy player. He's not somebody who's going to shell out, who's going to have a big shoe deal and all the kids are going to buy. I know an agent who actually says big men don't sell shoes, only guards sell shoes, which there is some truth behind that. But let's keep watching this.
it wasn't sexy. You know, he
Thank you,
wasn't,
bro.
as marketable as these other guys, and he's not all. I mean, he's almost like a Jokic. Like, Jokic is an incredible player, but he's boring. Yeah. You know, and that's just how Jokic is.
Yeah.
It doesn't take away his talent. Like, he's not a guy that's going out of his way to be liked or to be on TV. He just goes and does his job and he goes home.
Super important.
I think that's what Tim Duncan was, but on a whole nother level.
Yeah, Tim Duncan was one of my
since he
favorite
stepped
players,
foot in the L, he won.
Yeah.
He's done nothing but win. I believe, I may be wrong, but from my knowledge, I think he's the most winningest player of all time. So if that's not top 5, on top of all the accolades that come
Tim
with
Duncan's
it,
top
I don't.
5. You
They made the
He
playoffs
never had
every
a
year,
losing
right?
season.
Damn near 20-10 getting out the
he's
car,
never
bro.
had a losing
You know what I
season.
mean?
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Getting those Old Navy fits off, so that lets you know.
Birkenstocks and all.
But Kawhi gets the same kind of thing. And I remember watching Kawhi early on. I was talking to somebody about it. It's like, you might not think he's a superstar just because he's not all loud and doing whatever.
Right.
But watch this dude play basketball. And that quiet shit, those are the scary ones. Like, I remember Kate.
I think IQ is so important. This is why we do the film breakdowns, right? This is why we talk about this stuff on stream, man. Like, this stuff matters so much. This stuff matters so much. Like, easily top 5. You can make that argument, right? I think for me, I need to sit down with that and think about it. You got Jordan. You got, I don't know. I don't want to have this debate right now. Jordan is my top. I'll say this. I don't necessarily love rating players. You could make an argument. I would agree anytime somebody makes an argument, it's like, okay, like, Tim Duncan's top 5. Jordan is number 1 for sure. Like, you can make those arguments and I can see it. I can understand it. There's some things I agree with, some things I don't agree with, but I'm never the type of dude to, like, just make my own. I'm not the type of dude to make my own top 5 list. Like, I don't really care that much. Not that I don't care. It's just like, what are we doing, bro? Like, Tim Duncan was great. Kobe was great. Jordan was great. Kobe wouldn't be Kobe without Jordan. Michael Jordan wouldn't be Jordan without Alex English. Like, a lot of people don't know that. Alex English was that dude. And that was somebody who who Jordan looked up to. I used to go to MJ's camp when I was a kid, and MJ would talk about that. Like people would ask him, like, MJ, who was your favorite player growing up? He's like, Alex English. Like, he was one of his favorite players. Dr. J was another guy he watched fly through the air and all that stuff. And Dr. J don't get that much love. So like all these dudes was killers. They was nice. So I don't know. I just think it's super important to pay respect where respect is due. Like if you made it to that level, even if you didn't make it to that level, like I was nice. I was in camp with the Rockets. I didn't sign an NBA contract in terms of, you know, a regular season contract and stay on for a long period of time. I didn't do that, even though I did sign a contract. So like, man, like there's levels to this. Niggas can hoop everywhere. So that's that. The bank shot is one of the easiest and underrated moves. It's not easy. Bank shot is not easy. I learned that move simply because of Duncan, and it was automatic. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's an easy shot. I mean, guess you could point to the fact, okay, if you hit a certain angle, it goes in, but like that's not an easy shot. I wouldn't say anything is easy. You can make it easy by putting in the reps. And then what would you say about rankings? I get what you say about rankings. It's pretty subjective. And you can make a case for a lot of guys being able to go, yeah, MJ, Duncan, LeBron, Will, Kobe, Jabbar. Like you can make a case for anybody, bro. So like it's like, what are we doing? It's like, why are we having this debate? Because like in 20 years we're gonna have the same debate about the players that are playing now. You know, like I believe Patrick Ewing is the greatest Knick of all time. Like Patrick Ewing, shout out Patrick Ewing. He's my uncle, by the way. But Patrick Ewing averaged 20 and 10 for 8 straight seasons in the regular season and playoffs. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. 8 straight seasons, 20 and 10 in the regular season and the playoffs. That's dominance right there. Yes, Jalen Brunson brought them a championship, and people are like, oh, he's going to be the best Knick ever. I'm like, Patrick Ewing is the best Knick ever. That's just me in terms of my opinion. Not saying JB can't do something like that in the future, but it's going to take time, bro. You need longevity. For me, it was easy. But then again, like you said, I put in the reps. Yeah, exactly. It just, stuff becomes easy when you put in the reps. Like even me, I speak 7 languages, right? I speak some languages better than others, but it's 7. And learning languages is not easy. Some people could look at me like, wow, like you have a gift. Yes, I have a gift. I've also worked at this gift to be able to make it possible for me to do that thing and go out there and execute. It's like me being 6'9" with a 7'1" wingspan. I have all these physical gifts. At the same time, I have to go out there and put in the work in order to get better. I even think about a guy like Shaq and even a guy like Charles Barkley. Those are the guys who I heard of. Patrick Ewing actually told me this. We were in practice, and he would repeat this all the time. And when he felt like guys weren't working, and he would be like, look, the only 2 people I've ever seen in my whole entire career who were great, I'm talking great, and didn't work were Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley. All right? I agree with that. And I think he was using it as motivation to say, like, if y'all aren't working, you're not them. You're not Shaq and you're not Charles Barkley. So like, get your head out of your ass. I think, man, like even then, yes, I know he was saying that, but I think Charles and Shaq, they did put in some work. It's not like they just showed up one day and like, okay, I'm going to play basketball and I'm going to be an NBA player. It's like, no, you got to work. You got to put in the reps. You got to figure stuff out in order to get to that level, right? So that's what I truly believe. Even though they didn't work as hard as everybody else, I agree with Patrick's perspective and what it is he saw. But you know, y'all, if y'all smart enough, you understand what I'm talking about. What languages? English, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, French, Russian, and Greek. Russian, I speak at an elementary level, just from having played over in Russia, and I wasn't there that long, but I can get by bits and pieces and greetings and you know, small talk, small conversation, and ordering food. Greek is a bit more advanced than that, just in terms of having a lot of Greek friends and actually practice and trained it more. All these languages I spent time studying individually as well, right? French is probably 5th on that list. And then just because it's similar to all the other languages I speak, I do train at that, but it's super easy, right? At least for me. And I say it's easy, but it's not easy to learn a language. It's a lot easier after I've done all these things again and again and again, and it becomes easier, right? And then Italian is 4th. And I'm professional at Italian. Like I can have a conversation and even give speeches, I'm sure, in Italian in some way, shape, or form. And if I spent more time doing it, I'm sure it would click. But Portuguese, Spanish, and English, those are fluent. Those are crystal clear for me. I can definitely believe that about Barkley and Shaq. They're not only two guys that could get 20 and 10 even when when they weren't in shape. Like they didn't take great care of their bodies. I think he was implying how they could dominate even when they weren't working to be in shape. Yeah, I think that was part of it for sure. I was able to grasp Spanish simply because growing up in Miami, no, I had I put in the work for sure, but we had staff in our house growing up. We had a chef, and this is another thing. Like if you're an athlete at a high level, like you need to have a team around you. You can't just do this by yourself. Like it makes no sense if you're an NBA player and you're making your money on the court and being ready on the court to perform and all that stuff. It makes no sense for you to come home and have to cook your own meals. It makes no sense unless you enjoy that stuff. It just makes no sense. Right? You got to have a chef. You got to have an assistant potentially. Especially if you're a very high level and you need a team around you in order to excel and go forward, you need that. I don't care who you are. The best people in the world in business and basketball, whatever it is, they have a team around them, right? You got to understand when you're going to make those steps and move forward and build that team, but you need to have a team around you. There's a really good book called Buy Back Your Time by a guy named Dan Martell. And he wrote this for entrepreneurs. And he was essentially guiding entrepreneurs and telling them like, hey, anytime you should never make a purchase to grow your business. You should only make purchases to buy back your time, right? So for me, as an entrepreneur, my gifts and my abilities, I'm a great speaker, right? I could speak and I could teach and have wisdom to share. And I could do this in a bunch of different languages I've shared already. So my gift is speaking. I can know that. There's not many people who could do what I can do, right? So that's that thing right there. In addition to that, if I just stay focused on doing my job and working on my skills again and again and again and again, the same way I am right now, right? I'm speaking in front of camera and creating content and things like that. I can have people on the back end cut up that content and create that content in a way that allows me to distribute it, right? Distribute it to the people who need to be able to see it. I say all that to say this: it makes no sense for me to get great at editing content, right? Maybe there's a time and a place for me to put out some pieces of content, editing myself, but there are people who are always going to be better at me at that thing. So I might as well focus on what it is I do great, knock that out the park and become the best in the world at that, and then delegate and pay people as time goes on. And regardless of how much money you have, you can always get started with that process and then gradually buy back your time. And there's points of leverage that you can read that book, great book. But no, we had staff in the house growing up. Housekeepers, we had housekeepers from different countries, and most were Spanish speaking. Pretty much all were Spanish speaking. And then we had a chef as well from Colombia, and I learned to speak in. Sorry, let me check my phone. I learned to speak Spanish at home. I studied in school because I think it was just pretty standard in here in Miami to learn Spanish in school. And then when it was standard to learn in school. And then, what was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. When I went to start learning Portuguese and I started teaching myself using Rosetta Stone, when I started Portuguese, I realized like, oh shoot, like this made me better at Spanish. And I know more Spanish than I give myself credit for. So I just kept working at it and falling on my face and saying the wrong thing. And eventually it just clicked. And I'm like, okay, I have an ability to be able to do this. So yes, I have una facilidad, tipo like I can do it with ease, but dude, like it's still hard at the end of the day to learn a language. So that's how I did that. But let's go back to, I want to hear what DeMarcus has to say on Tim Duncan.
He's interviewing all the smoke, but he's like, Duncan will still talk shit to you. Like, did you have any experience when I know he was on the tail end of his career, but
Yeah, what did Timmy have for you?
What? Man? I used to get so frustrated playing against Tim Duncan because I could not figure him out.
Is he the player you did not want to play? Like, he was like the most difficult guard.
Timmy D. Like, I couldn't figure him out. And I was a baby, too. And he's well seasoned at this point. But I couldn't figure him out. And it was just like, no matter how much
I'll answer that in a second.
strength I put into it or how much I suffered or how hard it was just like.
Glass, yeah.
I heard he would like pat you on your butt, like good rebound.
Bro, that shit
like
was
he
the
was
most
on
irritating shit.
Right, like bro, talk some shit, bro. I thought
that's meaner.
right to compliment me like, good job, you got a rebound.
Just call me a bitch or something,
Right,
dog. Don't
disrespect.
try to compliment me.
I got man. So I I finally had a successful night against Timmy. Like it's not even a great night. It's just I'm having a decent, successful night.
Right.
So my young dumb ass decides to go talk shit to Timmy.
Oh,
Yeah, motherfucker.
Yo.
I remember like backpedaling down court and Timmy looked up at me. He just looked at me and didn't say anything. He just looked at me.
Hey, that's that Terminator shit.
This is
powered
exactly
up.
what he did.
He
looked
powered
at me,
up. You feel
he's
me?
jogging down court. He just looks down and starts like kind of laughing to himself.
That's so scary.
This is the fourth quarter. This dude ran off 16 straight.
He hit you with a this nigga.
He ran off 16 straight.
What did you do though? What was you thinking?
when did
What
you
was
do
you
that?
Get
thinking?
it like
You was
at
catching
4, at
16.
6, at 8.
This is what it was. Like I said, I'm trying to get into a verbal like
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
And he never said anything to me. So we go back to that butt tap.
Yeah.
Like I said, he's running off this 16 straight. Good job, big fella.
That's so condescending,
And
bro.
I'm like, this motherfucker.
You ready to square off? You feel me?
But hey, and I mean, but at the end of the day, it wasn't where it was any ill will. I'm like,
For
this-
sure,
this is
for
fucking Tim
sure,
Duncan.
for
Yeah.
sure, yeah.
That,
So yeah, bro. I think like you're saying too. You said stuff about the languages in terms of having people around you. Yeah, it's reps. It's having people around you. It definitely helps. And then I wouldn't even say Tim was putting guys down. Like I would even completely reframe it. Like Tim wasn't putting guys down. Tim was just focusing on his job. He was focusing on his job, right? Like Tim got animated. I've seen him yell before and all that stuff. But dude, like you're doing your job. You're doing your job. And your job is to win. And in a perfect world, like why not go down the court and score every single time if you have the ability to do it? And maybe Tim was like, okay, like let me shut this guy up. But like the loudest way you could talk is with your game, right? With the results you get. That's how you can talk. It's not through, it's not through your words. It's not through the chirping and all that stuff. It's not that. It's through the results you get. So can you get the results? If you can get the results, you could scream. But even I think about it this way: if you get the results, there's no need to scream because you have the result. So that's my perspective. That's how I see all that stuff. But super interesting stuff. I know we talked about breaking down Russell's stuff. Doc, since you're on right now, what do you want to break down? What do you want to go through? Let's see who else is on. Yeah, let me know in the chat what it is that you want to go over. I know we got 5 people watching. What's going on, everybody on YouTube? How we doing? We're about to break down some film, or I can break down some film, or anything basketball related that you have a question on. I'm happy to break it down. I use these like kind of moments as like a study hall type deal, where dale boca. We'll have these times where I'll break down film at least, not break down film all the time, twice a week. But I have a client call where I meet with the families that I work with inside of Coach Kama. We have a program called the Varsity Performance System. By the way, if you feel like that is potentially the right fit for your family, there's a whole application process. Just at least learn what the program is. You click the link right here and it takes you to a page where you're able to learn about what this is. And if you want to learn more about the program, take you here. You fill out an application. We explain the program in depth. It's an investment for some families, either 2 payments of $4,500 or one-time payment of $8,000. We've worked with over 50 families in the past couple of years, and it's been amazing, the progress and the results that we've seen with them. You apply for the Varsity Performance System here. It takes you through some questions, and we make sure you go on the right path. Everything's automated from start to finish, so that's why we set it up that way, right? Even if that's not the right fit, I have a newsletter that I send out every single week, and not just a newsletter, it's a Doc, I'll get you in just a second, but not even just a newsletter, it's a framework that we use. I know if you're parents out there, even if you're a player, there's a lot of awkward car rides home, after a bad practice or a bad game and stuff that may go down. So what I developed is this framework that we teach the families inside the community to be able to have a healthy conversation with your player, right? So that conversation isn't super awkward. And I know a lot of times parents butt heads And this isn't just for basketball families. This is for other families as well. Like if you click this link right here and you fill this out, this is actually a former trainer of mine, Sean. He passed away. But no, this is a good picture to use. I'm happy this is up here. But essentially, like whether your basketball is the main focus or a different sport is the main focus, these are resources that I'm sending you regularly, and I have a newsletter that goes out with that to the families of non-basketball families as well. So basketball families and non-basketball families. But we work with the families of elite youth basketball players all across the country, usually between the ages of about 13 to 17. So if that's you, go ahead and click below, free resources, and you can learn more about the program if you feel like it's the right fit. But yeah, that's that. Let's see what it is you're talking about, Doc. I would say tips for guarding quick guards on the perimeter. So anytime, and I'll say this is something I've broken down probably in a YouTube video before, but it's not even just quick guards around the perimeter. The one piece of feedback that I would say is you need to understand what you want to force people to do, right? You could say a quick guard on the perimeter, okay, like a Derrick Rose, a quick guard who can jump and get up on the rim. We want to play him in a hedge, right? A hedge essentially is a defensive coverage that allows them to make sure they go around the screen rather than it makes sure they take an angle that goes back towards the half court line before they have to come downhill. And if we make them do that, we decrease the chances of them being able to get downhill quickly and get a step on somebody, right? There's 4 different advantages in basketball, and this is something that we develop within the program. I develop within the program. We have a horizontal advantage, which is essentially I'm quicker than you. We have a vertical advantage, which is I'm taller than you or I can jump higher than you. Then we have a physical advantage, which is I'm stronger than you, right? Lastly, we have a shooting advantage, and that's I can shoot farther than you, and as a result, you have to guard that player up closer to the three-point line, which eventually opens up drives and different things like that you want to do. So you're talking about guarding a quicker player on the perimeter defensively. What you want to do is, first and foremost, you want to understand what it is that they want to do, right? So if I'm guarding a quicker player on the perimeter, I want to understand what moves I want to make that player make, right? So if it's a quicker player, but that player can't shoot, I'm going to guard him differently than a player who can shoot. So first and foremost, what I want to do is I want to decide two things only. You don't need to create a whole entire list. You just need to create 2 things. So it's 2 things that I want the player that I'm playing against to do. So let's say I'm playing against, I'll say it this way, 90% of basketball players in the country, I don't know the statistics on who is left-handed and who is right-handed in the world, but let's say, what population of the United States is left-handed? So only about 10 to 13% of the U.S. population is left-handed, right? So naturally what that means, and it still rings true in terms of what I was saying before, 90% of people can't naturally go left, right? So if I walk in a gym, a general rule of thumb across the board is I want to make you go left, right? Second thing is I want to make you shoot. So I want you to go left, and I want you to shoot, right? Most people can't shoot. It's a farther shot away from the basket, and naturally, this is all logic. This is all wisdom, okay? So the further you are away from the basket, the lower your percentage shooting is going to be. Even the best players in the world are like this. Steph Curry's career three-point percentage, I don't think it's 40. I think it's like 39 or something like that. Maybe a little less because the league average is 36, but last year was 36% to 36.6%, okay? So if the farther you are away from the basket, the lower percentage shots you have, I want people to go left because they naturally can't go left, and I want them to shoot 3-pointers, okay? Now, today's game has changed, and a lot more people can shoot threes, but still the statistics are kind of proof. You know, if you're in the NBA, the league average is 36%, okay? So I want people to shoot contested threes. Not necessarily contested threes. I want them to shoot. And I want them to dribble left. Now, another thing I will say, and this is very important, the lowest percentage shot in basketball is a contested 2. It's just from stats and all that stuff. A contested 2, it's not a 3. If you hit a contested 3, that's 3 points. If you hit a contested 2, that's 2 points. I would rather you as a defender make 2-point shots all day long, right? Because mathematically, it's going to benefit me if you hit 2s instead of hitting 3s. Okay, so that's that. That's the way I would see that. So I want you to dribble left, and then I want you to shoot shots, right? So before offensive player can possibly show him down the perimeter. Yeah, it's just about creating a scouting report. Like when I was playing in New Zealand, what I would do is I would what would I do? I would look at the scouting report. So it's funny. I keep this on my desk. This is a scouting report from the Miami Heat and New York Knicks in the playoffs in 1999. This is May 5th of 19. I want to get this laminated so I can. Yeah, I'm gonna get that laminated. But it's May 5th, 1999. Patrick Ewing's on there. Marcus Camby. I think it's David Wingate. Latrell Sprewell, Allen Houston, all those guys. I think Allen Houston's on that list, but I know Latrell Sprewell is on that list. Larry Johnson, all these guys are on that list. Okay. On a scouting report, what it says is players' tendencies. What I would do is it's highlighted this way as well, and I think my dad maybe highlighted this. He put boxes around, and this is what I would do as well. And it's funny because I didn't even talk to my dad about this. It's just something that like I just learned over time and just gradually kind of navigated towards. What I would do is I would identify the guys who I am going to guard that game. So as a 4 or a 5, in most leagues I'm playing around the world, I'm one of the taller guys on the team. I'm playing the 4 or playing the 5 defensively. So I'm like, okay, granted, I believe I can guard 1 through 5. Like, granted, I didn't do it a whole lot in my career, but I have faith now, especially towards the end of my career, my ability to move my feet. My last season, I really, really put a lot of effort in, and I could guard 1 through 5. I'm confident of that, okay? Now, that being said, I'll say this. I would highlight the people who I'm normally going to guard throughout that game, right? So usually it's the starting center, it's the backup center, it's the starting 4 and the backup 4. Maybe there's like a 3-person. It's usually a 3-person rotation that I'm going to play against. So like you look at Wemby. Wemby's going to play against Mitchell Robinson, Karl Anthony Towns, and he may get a switch on somebody else, right? So that's just generally what's going to happen, okay? What I would do is I would create my own personal scouting report based off of the scouting report I get or the film that I watch, the tendencies that I know of the guy that I'm playing against, right? So I want Mitchell Robinson to make plays, and I want to hit him early, okay? It's super important when you're making the scouting report as well to focus on the things that you want them to do rather than the things you don't want them to do. Because there's a big difference between playing to win and playing not to lose, okay? So we've all seen those teams who go up, they're up like 20 points going into the fourth quarter, right? If you're up 20 points going into the fourth quarter, you should naturally win that game. But they're up 20 points going into the fourth quarter and they trick it off, right? It's because basketball is a game of runs, right? It happens up and down and up and down. Runs happen. You can point to bad coaching and bad timeouts and cutting off that run and all that stuff. But I wouldn't even just point to that. I think what's really important is the mindset of the players, okay? So Victor is great at switching on the perimeter, but at the same time, he doesn't necessarily have – Victor's great at switching on the perimeter. He does have lateral quickness, but he's just so long and he makes up for it in terms of, his steps, right? But you have to play to win instead of playing not to lose. The teams that trick the games off up 20, they start playing to not lose, right? They start playing to not lose instead of playing to win. Yes, you do want the same outcome, right? If you're like, oh, I didn't lose, so naturally you won. But it's mental. It's a different thing. It's like if you're trying to play it safe in life. It's like, oh, I don't want to lose in life. I don't want to, like nobody who has ever created a fortune in life has ever carried the mindset throughout their whole entire life. I don't want to lose money. I don't want to lose money. I don't want to lose money. Okay. If you're not losing money, granted, if you say you don't want to lose money, you're holding on to it extremely tightly. And you're like, okay, I don't want to lose it. I don't want to lose it. And as a result, you're not going to take risks. And I'm not telling you to make very high risk decisions. But what I am saying is like, when you make a risk, you make a reward. A person who doesn't want to lose money potentially is going to, I don't know. I would completely disagree with this because you have inflation and other things like that on the back end, and inflation is like 3% every single year. So naturally, if you say, okay, I want to put my money in a savings account and I don't want to lose it, you have to make sure that that money is actually returning more than 3% in order to increase your money. If you don't do that, you're losing money year over year over year over year, right? So you need, instead of having the mindset, I don't want to lose it, I want to make the most of this, right? And this is the same thing defensively. Instead of saying, I don't want this guy to shoot, I don't want Steph to shoot, I don't want this to happen. No, I want Steph to do this and I want Steph to do that, right? And you can't, and this is another thing you have to get out of your mind. With a great player, you can't shut a great player down. There's no such thing as shutting a great player down. Never, 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 never will you ever shut a great player down. They'll just have a bad night, right? That happens. But you won't shut a great player down. What you need to do, you need to make a great player take the toughest shots possible. So like if we look at let's look at this Jalen Brunson shot chart from last season. If we look at Jalen Brunson's shot chart from last season, okay, he shot 44.5 from the corners. He shot 39.3, 34.3 from the top of the key, lower than the league average. I like this. I like StatMuse. This is dope. This is freaking dope. I see you, Doc. I'll get you in just a second. You got the wing right here. You got the corner. All these different things. Okay. Dope. All right. So based off of this shot chart, I know, and I'm looking at all the shots that Jalen Brunson shot throughout the whole entire season. I'm like, damn, like he's shooting 50% here, 40% here. What I want to do is if Jalen Brunson is in, I know I don't want him to shoot corner threes, right? I want him to shoot. This is career stats. I want to see, I don't know if I can find the league stats. But you all understand the point that I'm making, I believe. So let's say if I'm basing off of this is his whole entire career. Yeah, it has to be his whole career if it's this many shots. Yeah, this is for his career. But let's say I find a way to understand Jalen Brunson's stats for just the season. What I would do is I would determine, okay, I want him to shoot top of the key threes as much as possible. So I want to push the ball screens to the top of the key and maybe get a switch here and corral him in this area of the court. And then if he does shoot a shot, I want him to shoot. If we look at all the stats, right, he's more efficient going right. So going right pull up and shooting a left-hand shot versus him going left and shooting a shot. So if he's going left, he's dribbling with his left hand and he's picking it up with his left hand, obviously, both hands, and then shooting a left-handed shot because he's left-handed. So I want his last dribble before the shot to be with his left hand as opposed to his right hand. So I know this is like super detailed, but this is what I would do. I would create a scouting report. It's like, okay, I want to push Jalen Brunson left, believe it or not, and I want to, I don't know, play his ball screens in such a way where like I'm pushing him middle or something along the lines of that. I don't know. I'd figure it out and I'd get more in depth and there's other levers and stuff to this, but this is how I would stop a guard on the perimeter. Doc, let me see this. You're talking about Wemby. Would you say that the Spurs did that in the finals in the sense that they kept on blowing big? Yes, they did. Spurs are very weak mentally this past season. We just fall apart when Brunson and the Knicks would score a few bucks. You saw it. Like you could see how poised the Knicks were in terms of their mindset, and they were just kind of like, okay, like we'll take it one game at a time. Like, yeah, we're getting excited about winning, and that's great, but it's kind of like Kobe's like, job's not finished. It's like, Kobe, are you pissed? It's like, no, I'm not pissed. It's like, just the job's not done, right? So the Knicks carry that mindset, and there's a reason they won. The Spurs, they were so emotional. I think Wemby's a great player. I do. I think Wemby is very emotional. And I'm not saying that I know Wemby's talked about his emotions before. As a man, it is important to be able to express your emotions 110%. And what I will say is you have to be able to control your emotions. You can express them, yes, but I would point to the fact that Wemby, he's only 22 years old. I think he's 22. He's a young kid. Castle's young as well, right? You see how he would get pissed when he got hard fouled against OKC. Like you point to some of those plays, right, against Caruso, and Caruso hard fouling. OKC was tougher mentally, in my opinion. They just lost, and OKC had a lot of injuries. OKC I think would have beat the Knicks in the finals. I really think OKC hands down would have beat the Knicks in the finals, right? It was weird in a sense because it seemed like the Spurs had supreme confidence at the start of the game against the Knicks, but couldn't carry it towards the end of the game. Yeah, it's mental. It was all mental. That's all it was. That's all it was. And it's communicating. And when you mess up mentally, you just start to kind of implode and corrode, and you start to make poor decisions across the board. If you're all on YouTube, tell me where you're tuning in from. I know some other people are viewing who aren't chirping in right now. But if you're on YouTube watching, appreciate you watching. Let me know where you're viewing from, and let me know what it is that you want to, if you have any questions or if you're just tuning in and listening. But I want to watch Spurs versus Knicks. Comeback. All right, so let's just watch this. Let's watch this, and we'll break down the different coverages and stuff we see. As always, sound is off. And then I think New York is one of the reasons why I didn't think the Knicks would win, but they proved me wrong, is because New York fans are very, very, very emotional. And in order for a team to be successful in New York, I don't care what team you are, in my opinion, in order to be a successful team in New York, the players need to be stronger mentally than the fans, and they can't be shifted by the fans. When the fans are high, yes, they can use that as momentum in order to get behind them. But when the fans are low, they can't drop low with the fans. New Yorkers are mad emotional, bro. They're up here and they make irrational decisions. This is not every New Yorker across the board. At the same time, there's a lot of Knicks fans who do this, and they're not my favorite people in the world. So they'll get really high and then they'll get low. If you're a team and you ride that wave of the fans, and especially an emotional fan base like New York, you're going to screw yourself, and you're constantly going to be at the whim of the fans. And then you're going to get tight and kind of like get antsy in certain situations and not feel like you're just going to get, I don't know, you're going to get scared, right? Let's say. But the Knicks had a stronger mindset than their fan base. With Victor, I feel like it's a double-edged sword in the sense his emotions are, but I don't want to be fired up. Tim Duncan wasn't fired up. He just went out and did his job. So you could say, yeah, like your emotions are great. This is why I think our emotions, like you should not listen to your emotions in terms of being able to make decisions off of your emotions. Like if I feel excited about something, cool, that's great. It's like marriage long term. Like you're not always going to feel super excited about having a conversation with your wife or your husband. Like you're not going to feel that way. Like love is not an emotion. Love is a choice, right? You do feel feelings, but at the same time, like you're not going to feel like playing. This is something I heard Lou Williams say. Lou Williams was like, the difference between a professional player and an amateur player is that professional players play basketball when they don't feel like it. And amateur players only play basketball when they feel like it. That's it, right? There's other things as well, of course, but like, bro, like, come on, man. Like, I can't tell you how many days I didn't feel like getting up and going to the gym. I can't tell you how many days as a business owner I don't feel sometimes like hopping on stream. I don't feel sometimes like, doing the things that I commit to doing. But I committed to do it, so I'm gonna do it, right? So that's that. I'm not saying you should push through, your body giving you a sign that like, hey, like I'm done. I need to take a break. I need to rest. That's different, right? But what I am saying is like, you're not always going to feel like 100%. I was talking with Gabe Vincent. One time. This is when I'll have him talk about this when he's on the show. But man, it's just interesting. Like during the finals, like they went to the finals with the Heat. You don't always feel 100%, bro. Like at the end of the season, like think about it this way. The team that makes it to the finals, who was I talking to about this? I think I was talking to Katino Mobley last week about this. If an NBA team makes it to the finals, they only have 2 months of the off season. That's it. You make it to the finals, you get 2 months of the off season, and then you have to be ready to go. Maybe even less, right? Finals ends in June. You got July. You got August. And in September, you're back in camp. That's crazy, right? That's like no time at all, So, man, I'm telling you, like it's I forgot the point I was making with that exactly, but man, like you can't let your emotions get you going because you're not always going to feel like playing basketball. with Victor Fields that you said. I definitely agree with you about New Yorkers. There are a ton of them where I live in NC, and they're super emotional. It's just like, oh, I'm so emotional. And it's like, yeah, you could say like that's awesome to be a New Yorker and be emotional. I'm not throwing shade on New York. I think New York is a dope city. I've spent some time there. It's a dope city, and I know some of y'all are wilding. Super emotional, and like you feel it as a fan base. You feel it as a player. If you're not locked in emotionally, and if you aren't aware of your own emotions as a player, you're going to be on the same roller coaster as the crowd because you're going to feel it. You're going to be like, oh, the crowd's into it. I feel great. The crowd's out of it. It's like, damn. Because, bro, you got 82 games in a season. You're traveling time zones. You're changing time zones, hopping on planes, sleeping in beds that aren't your bed. Imagine NBA players sleep in 42 different beds a year, right? Assuming that they stay in the same hotel every single time, right? 42 beds. You play each team in the NBA. No, that's the wrong math. I'm sorry. You have 30 teams in the NBA. You have 29 teams that are away. You're sleeping in 30 different beds a year, 30 different beds a season, plus if you don't switch hotels, 30 different beds. One of those is your bed, but the rest of the beds, it's different beds, right? Think about how your body feels sleeping in 30 different beds a year. That's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Not a lot of people think about that. You're sleeping in 30 different beds, and you have to get your rest, and you have to do this and that. It's like, it's a whole lot, right? It's a lot of different factors that people don't think about. They're like, damn, like NBA players have to sleep in 30 different beds a year. And it's tiring. It's stressful. It's like, I want to be home. I want to be with my family. This is why I'm saying, like, back to the point I was making before about Dennis Rodman and my dad beefing. It's not beef. It's like, dude, like, I sleep in 30 beds a year. I got all this other stuff going on. Like, I don't care. It's not, to the fans, it's beef, but I think to players, they don't really care, bro. It's not that deep, bro. We got one life to live. It's not that deep. And I'm not saying anything about Chris Webber or KG joking and laughing about it because it's funny. It's funny. Like it's true. Like they butted heads. But yeah, Trey, would you say that it's about controlling your emotions but not running away with it and harnessing it? For example, your dad was emotional fiery when he played, but was also a winner. Yeah, at the same time, like my dad would also agree with. He's talked about this. I would rather hear it in his words. Let's see. All right, so this fight right here, this is the context, bro. This is so important. This is in the 1998 playoffs. I don't know what game this was, but like, bro, like they got in a fight. This was in the playoffs. The Knicks won, but as a result, my dad missed the game. This is one of the best chances that they had in 1998 to get to the NBA Finals. They had a great team, you know. So like, dude, that happened. The next year, Allen Houston hits that shot. It's like, damn. Like, and then the year after that, my dad has kidney disease and he has to retire. So you never know when your last moment is going to be. Like you have to harness these moments. This is why emotional control is so important. So if we look at this, one of the things my dad ended up saying after this is he saw Pat Riley's face like after they got into the fight, and they were like fuck, like you got into the fight, but like our best player, our franchise guy is not playing now. He's not playing now, which affected the team's ability to be able to go on and win a playoff series. So yes, I'm not arguing the fact that my dad is a winner and a competitor. I get that. And I think this was a big turning point in his career because he realized, like, damn, like I let my team down and I can't let that happen again, right? So this is this is a prime example of emotional control, and he didn't control his emotions in the best way now, and now he's able to do that. You know, it's part of maturing as a player. It just sucks that sometimes as a player you have to go through moments like this in order to learn it. I have my own things in my career. I've had to get punched in the face in order to learn things like, dang, like that person can't be trusted. You know, so like. I never wanted to come off as me pointing a finger at my dad. Like I'm not doing that. I think the wisest people in the world are able to learn from other people's mistakes, and my dad really wants me to learn from his mistakes. So that's what I would say in terms of like controlling your emotions, man. Like think about the bigger picture. The bigger picture, and especially my dad can look back at this and like, dang, like this is something I heard Anthony Edwards say. And Udonis Haslem chimed in on this, so I think it's part of Heat culture and like just the way the guys think. So big shout out to UD for that. I'd love to have UD on the show and talk to him. But bro, like if you think about it from this perspective, you have Anthony Edwards. He said this. This is after they lost the Western Conference Finals, right? They lost the Western Conference Finals against the Dallas Mavericks when they were playing Luka Doncic and them. And they lost the game, and the series was over. Dallas goes on to the Western Conference, to the NBA championship. And Anthony Edwards, in an interview, he ends up saying to the press, he's like, man, I don't feel bad. I feel bad for Mike Conley because like this is potentially Mike Conley's last chance to get here. I feel bad for him. I don't feel bad for me because I got other opportunities to get there. Anthony Edwards hasn't been back there since, and there's no guarantee he's going to go back there, right? You look at a guy like Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade and UD talked about this. I actually want to point to this. Dwayne Wade and Udonis Haslem on Anthony Edwards. Let's see.
To NBA cinema guys, so we have Dwayne what's going on versus
I understand going down there shaking their hands. I'm definitely gonna go down there and shake their hands.
That's not what I see. I've got time. This.
I mean, I gotta give this for you, young king. Ant-Man, do not take it for granted. As an OG, I appreciate you doing this for the OG, Mike Conley, but do not take this opportunity for granted. You've been to 2 Western Conference Finals early in your career. You're only 23 years old. You have so much basketball to go. But I went in 2006, and me and Dwayne Wade were naive enough to think that we were going to go back, and we didn't go back for 6 years, the longest 6 years ever. Then I was blessed with the big 3. We went 4 straight times. Perky was part of that. Sorry about that. But you can speak on it because you never went back after that for a while until you know what I'm saying? So you know how it is. But you don't get those opportunities as much as you might think as a young basketball player. So, Ant-Man, I appreciate you shouting out the OG and you doing that for the OG. But do not take this for granted, young fella. It goes fast. And you look back and you don't have an opportunity to do it again. I mean,
Bingo, man. That's why emotional control is so important. And you can't make these decisions emotionally. Be like, all right, I'm going to do all this stuff emotionally because I feel like it. It's like, what? Like, no. You have to capture the moment and make sure you're even keeled and ready to receive the moment when it comes. That's the most important thing. You got to wait till the opportunity comes and tackle the opportunity when you get there. And the way you do that is by preparing every single day again and again and again and again. Have it be consistent. That's the main thing right there. So what you're talking about in terms of emotional control, I mean, like, I'm not talking about what I would do, and this is what I do. Like, I go to therapy. I go to therapy once a month. I used to go to therapy twice a month, and I used to go to therapy once a week. Just depending on the type of season I was in and processing a lot of trauma and emotions and stuff like that, I needed somebody to process it with. Now, it's cool for me to just go once a month, right? I've also been in different programs, whether it be ministry programs or something like that, to be able to learn about what makes me tick or go behind the curtain and do nervous system work and stuff like that. I've had nervous system professionals come and speak to our clients in the varsity performance system, right? So, dude, like, your mind is so important, and you have to be able to look under the hood and understand what makes you tick. So I give myself those moments, and then I also go out there and work on the court. But I promise you, like, if you don't, it's not even finding a middle ground. It's being able to, like, how often do you sit still, right? This is my challenge with how often do you sit still? I think a lot of times basketball training looks like go, 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 go. Lift, sprints, on-court workout, agility training, workout with the team, pick up basketball, travel here, travel there, all these different things. How often do you sit down and look in the mirror and be like, okay, how do I feel today? All right, let's do a check-in. Like, how do I feel today? And it's deeper than a check-in. I would journal. I would set a timer for 15 minutes. This is what I tell all the players in the community. This is free game. Adults, men. I tell this to parents as well. The best gift a parent can give their player is a better version of themselves. It's not more training sessions. It's not even our program. It's a better version of yourself. You may get those things by, learned in yoga and exercise to stay still. Yeah, I mean, it's not just staying still. It's staying still and shifting your perspective. Like the Bible talks about, be still and know that I am the Lord, right? It's not just sitting still. There's a lot of people who sit still and they don't have peace, right? I sit still and I have peace because of Jesus. So, man, like, peace surpasses all understanding when it comes to him. So, man, like, yes, be still. You got to shift your perspective, dude. You have to, like, look at things from a first principles standpoint as well. This is something we teach in the program and I learned from a coach that I worked with in the past. First principles essentially is working from a baseline of truth. Like with basketball, there's only two hands you could dribble with. I only have two hands as a human being. Every other human being has two hands, right? From my understanding, unless there's a genetic disorder or something along the lines of that. I can go right or I can go left. That's it. I can't go right and left at the same time. I can go right. I can dribble with my right hand. I can dribble with my left hand. Or if I want to do a pound dribble, I could do that. But that's once in a blue moon and it's only to gather, like, that's it. So once you break it down to the simple nature of like, oh, I can either go right or I can go left, you make it a lot easier on yourself and you stop stressing about nonsense. And it's that way in any way in life. You can either go to the Western Conference Finals or win a championship, or you can't win a championship. That's it. I think sometimes our emotions go at the highest levels. Like, what about this? And what about this? And what about that? There's actually a video that I created. This is a helpful video for you all to watch as well. It's called the A-B decision matrix. I don't know where. Let's see where it is. I want to say it's in the player's guide. I talk about it in one of the spaces. We talk about the A-B decision matrix and how you can make it easier on yourself. But essentially what the A-B decision matrix is about is when you shoot a basketball, let's say I'll use this example. When you shoot a basketball, one of two things are going to happen. You either make the shot or you miss the shot, right? Now, let's split it up, okay? If you make the shot, what ends up happening is you have a choice to make. Am I going to get up and press or am I going to get back on defense? Two options, right? A, B. Make, miss, press up, get back. If I miss the shot, two options. Do I crash the glass or do I get back on defense? That's that. That's it, right? And then we keep simplifying it and understanding like, okay, wow, this is the different perspective. I only have two different options, two different outcomes as a result of doing this thing. Let's go ahead and do that thing, right? And it becomes so much simpler to play the game of basketball and you're not thinking and stressing in the same way you did before. So that's my take there. But yeah, Doc, any other questions, dude? I'm happy to keep going through this stuff, but I think like on streams like this, it's not even just a film breakdown. It's talking about all these different concepts and adding value where there is value. Let's see who else is on as well. We got 3 others on YouTube. Let me open it here so I can see you all. I can see the chat up here, but I want to see. I think like on streams like this as well. 3 watching right now. You other 2 who are watching, aside from what you're describing, it's like clearing your mind and just focusing on doing the tasks, but not overthinking. In my opinion, there's no such thing as overthinking. There's no such thing as overthinking. That's it. There's only thinking without. There's only thinking without. This link is incorrect. I got to correct that. There's no such thing as overthinking. There's only thinking without acting. So if you think about, it's funny, if you think about thinking, what thinking is, it just naturally happens. It's like time passing, right? It's like a cloud going by. It's like you're outside and a cloud goes by. Okay, it's gonna happen, right? You're gonna think thoughts. Thoughts are gonna come up, and that's life, right? You can't clear your mind completely. All you can do is observe what it is that's happening. Okay, so you can't stop yourself from thinking. You can't stop the cars from going by if you're on the road. If you try to stop the cars from going by, you can get hit. Granted, there's nothing that could really happen in terms of I guess, mental in terms of getting hit by a car. There's no equating that, but you can only observe your thoughts. A car is driving by, right? I can't get in front of a car and be like, stop. Like, I don't want you all to stop, and I want to sit here and be peaceful. It's like, no, you have to observe all the different things that are happening. And that's what the work really looks like, being able to sit here and process. And this is why writing things down is extremely helpful. But it's not overthinking. Thinking just happens. Overthinking to me is thinking when you don't take action, right? And constantly, you just need to ask yourself, go through that A/B decision matrix and have it at the front of your mind where you're like, okay, what am I going to do? Am I going to make a decision now? It's like, no, I'll wait. Oh, now this is happening? Okay, cool. Now let me make a decision. And you need a clear mind to do that. You don't need emotions that get you up and down, right? It's like your alarm goes off in the morning. Granted, I set my alarm up in such a way where I'm really grateful for this. I get up when I'm done sleeping, right? I do have alarms, but I get up when I'm done sleeping for the most part, which is a blessing. So thank God for that. But you hear the alarm, you make a decision. Okay, heard the alarm. Let me go and do this thing. Okay, did this thing. Now what's next? And you just make simple decisions. You give yourself simple decisions that make throughout the day, and your life becomes a whole lot easier. You become more peaceful and all these different things. So that's how I see it from that perspective, man, in terms of what it is I'm describing and all those different things. But Doc, any other questions specifically? I don't know why I'm not able to. Oh, that's awesome, man. This guy I know just had a shout out Trey Mena, bro. Trey just had a baby boy, man. God bless Trey. That's awesome, bro. Congrats to you and the family, Trey. That's dope. Good stuff, dude. Good stuff. Let me see. I don't know if I can go live on IG right now. I think it's definitely possible for me to go live on IG. So funny. I just saw this meme on let's see. This is actually mad funny to me. This says, oh, Bill Rasmussen pass. R.I.P. Bill Rasmussen. I wasn't super familiar with Bill Rasmussen, but R.I.P. Adam Silver's granted the 76ers an extremely forgiving schedule this season. Fewest back-to-back games. Fewest 3 games in 4 nights. No games versus Western Conference until game 18. So funny. Basketball is, oh, this is dope. Good for DeMar. That's freaking dope. I didn't know that. This is dope. This happened an hour ago. Oh, no. It emerged as a suitor. It's not official. Sorry to get y'all excited about that stuff. I don't know about that. That silver meme is hilarious, bro. It was super hilarious. From what you're... Yeah, balance. I wouldn't even say... So I'd say this. I saw this dope video the other day. It talked about balance being a result of movement, right? So like imagine you're on a bike and like you're on this bike and and you stop. If you stop the bike, you're going to fall. But if you keep the bike moving, you get balance, right? So you need to have movement in order to have balance. Yeah, just do the task. What's one thing you felt as your player that you wish you had in your game? Yeah, it would be dope to see, but I mean, it'd be interesting. I don't know how that'd work. I don't know what the Raptors, the Nuggets roster looks like completely. What's one thing that I felt as a player that you wish you had in your game? What's one thing you felt as a player? What do you mean what I felt as a player? What do you think? I think for me, I wish I was, granted, I'm a great shooter. I could shoot the piss out of the ball. I don't know what I shot my last season. I wish I had a me in my life. I know this may sound like I'm tooting my own horn, but like I really do wish I had a me in my life growing up. Yeah, like I was provided a lot of value from my dad and the other pros and veterans around me. But I think what I do and what I know is so unique, especially from a biblical perspective, right? I've been a chaplain in the NBA, and I wish I had somebody who was discipling me at the level that I am discipling others now. I wish I had that. And I think oftentimes, even with God, I've looked like God, like I wanna Luka's had three great, I'm sorry to lose that train of thought. He's had three great coaches, right? These are great coaches in my opinion. But even with God, like there've been some times where I'm like, God, like I'm looking for this. Like, why isn't there a person who does this and this and this and this and this and this? And what I end up doing and what the Lord ends up sharing with me is like, that's you. He's like, the reason I left that void, or like the reason I gave you that desire is because I want you to do it yourself. So I think that's it right there. Like I wish I had that. I wish I had a me in my life growing up, and taught me how to. I think like, I'm not throwing shade on anybody who's taught me, specifically my dad. Like he's done a great job. He's done the best he can, right? I think like, man, I just kind of wish there was I teach in a different way. You know what? I teach in a way that I understand. I think like every player needs a coach who really, it's like it fits, right? You can have a great coach, but that coach may teach differently than the player needs to receive. So I think I have a unique ability to be able to teach in the way that people need to receive a specific type of player, and I'm that type of player. I see a lot of my clients are very, very smart kids. Like they, the players in our program, a lot of them come from wealthy families. A lot of them are great students, right? For me, I said before, I speak 7 languages. I have 2 degrees from Georgetown University. But no, like, yeah, I wish I had an OG like me. Like, granted, I've had great OGs. I point to my dad. It's my dad, not my OG. I point to my dad. I point to Jeff Green was a great OG for me. Shout out Jeff Green. I want to actually reach out to Jeff, and I'm going to have Jeff on. But no, Jeff is somebody I respect tremendously. Jeff is big homie. What else? Who's another OG? Mario Chalmers. I played with Mario Chalmers. I was actually his ball boy when I was a ball boy for the Miami Heat. He was a rookie. Mario Chalmers for sure. Brandon Knight for sure. Brandon Knight discipled me as well. I just came to Christ then, and B Knight really was big bro and helped me. He's from the crib, so he's from down here. So shout out B Knight. Jared Jack, kind of sorta. I had him for a season. But man, like Mario, just in terms of IQ, like Mario put me on in terms of Mario's one of the smartest basketball players I've been around. I'm not gonna hold you. He's fucking intelligent. That's a fucking smart dude. So Mario is one dude, and then B Knight and Jeff Green in terms of like how to carry yourself as an OG. There's a reason he's about to enter season 20. And then my dad as well. And I've also had like pros I've observed. Some stuff is caught and some stuff is taught, right? I definitely caught a whole lot from these guys that I grew up around, because I was in these locker rooms like the Jordans and the like, these are people I saw. Like I would walk up to MJ today with his security and just dap him up and just be like, MJ, good to see you, and like that's that. It would be smooth. And I don't even say it to brag. It's just life. It's just like, it's life. I grew up around these people, and I'm on a personal, we don't exchange texts or texts and calling each other on Christmas and stuff like that. But the NBA is a small world, and I grew up in it very intimately, and I know all these dudes. Shaq, like that's Uncle Shaq. Like, remember the last time I saw Shaq? He's like, anything you need, let me know. I would love to have Shaq on here too. I think it'd be dope to talk to him and stream with him. But man, that's that, man. That's that. It's I'm fortunate. One thing I learned from a coworker a long time ago is that we don't necessarily inherit all of our parents' talent. So even though they're our parents, that they can guide us on everything when it comes to utilizing our talent. Yeah, like I think about it this way, and this is why God is so important, right? Like if you have a Ferrari, like you don't take a Ferrari to I don't know, like a Ford dealership to get it fixed, you know. I think about it this way, like my dad, his career he's different than me. We had a completely different game. Like I'm more finesse and he's more physicality, and we're completely different people. Our games are completely different. So for me to go to him and be like, okay, like how do I, you know, I don't know, come off this pick and roll coverage as a guard, right? Even though I can't, I never played guard as a professional player, but I can now, just given my basketball IQ and my skill set, at least offensively. So like, but I'm not asking him questions about that stuff. I'm asking Mario Chalmers questions about that stuff, or Brandon Knight questions about that stuff. You know, so God places people in our lives, and He's our Father at the end of the day. You know, I have an earthly father, and I'm grateful for my earthly father. I'm grateful for my heavenly Father. You know, I'm grateful that I think it's more important to have that relationship, to be quite honest with you, just to make sure everything is in order. So I'm not, you know, giving glory to a person on earth that, even though I'll always honor the OGs and the vets who I have in my life and my parents and the people like that. But man, I just think it's really, really important to not keep that perspective. That's super important. Yeah, Russ needs a statue there. Let's say, shout out Mac McClung. I would love to have Mac McClung on. I don't like all this, like, there's just a lot of drama sometimes with these NBA edits. Basketball forever. Let's see who else. What else we got going on? I'm happy with this NBA schedule. I think it's gonna be dope. Let's see what 2K talking about. My career. You could do my player at different eras. That's tough, bro. That's tough, bro. I love that. That's super tough. I'm a big fan of that. I'm a big fan of that. Shout out D-Rose, too. Shout out D-Rose. All right, what else is going on, chat? I know we have, let's see how many we got tuning in. We got 2 others tuning in. Doc, it's you and somebody else. But nah, man, good stuff there. Doc, if there isn't anything else, I'll sign off. And that'll be it for today. But let me know. Doc, anything else from you, brother? If not, we will wrap it up. Well, sweet. I appreciate y'all. I think great players could play in any era. The talent and work ethic would allow them to succeed in it. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Great players could play in every era. Most definitely. Well, I appreciate y'all. Shout out Tremble. Where you at? Shout out Tremble one time. Tremble Pilates Studio. If y'all are in not just the Miami area, let's see what Tremble got going on. Tremble's in 57 locations all around the world. Film breakdowns. Let's look at. Of course, Doc. Appreciate you, bro. Tremble Pilates. Nope. Tremble Pilates Studio. Tremble's in 57 locations all over the world, all over the map. They all over. So if you're in any of these places, go ahead and check out Tremble. Shout out my big sis Arian and what she got going on. They're in the Hamptons. They're doing their thing. They're in Kentucky, Indiana, all over the world. La República Dominicana están por todo lado. Ohio, Darien, Connecticut, Orange County, shout out OC, Reno. They're growing, they're doing their thing. So shout out Tremble one time. Make sure you go and check out a class. Thank you for the support. Those of you who are part of this, those of you who tuned in, thank you so much. We'll be back on Thursday, and what we'll break down, I'm not sure exactly what we'll break down yet, but we'll figure out what we'll break down, and we will go from there. But appreciate y'all. Have a blessed rest of your week. I will see you all on Thursday for another stream, and I'll let you know when we have another player hopping on, whether it be a football player, a basketball player, people who have made it in sports. Let's go ahead and do this one time. So the Rookie and the Vet, that is a show that I have where I sit down with those who have made it in sports and discuss how they made it in sports, right? For you as a parent or a player who is navigating the game yourself and wants to come out on top and be a lot better. So that's that. Thank you to our sponsors. Go ahead and subscribe on YouTube. Go ahead and follow on Instagram. And even more than that, go ahead and there's a bunch of free resources there. I talked about it before in the bio on YouTube or any other platform. Really figure out how to handle that awkward post-game car ride or just that awkward car ride home. Doesn't have to be after a game that y'all go through. And if you ever feel like this is the right fit for you in terms of, hey, I've seen his content, I understand what he does, I want to get the same type of coaching and feedback for my player, we have a complete start to finish process for you to be able to see what it looks like to work in the community. You can apply, and then from there, once you apply, you see if you're the right fit on the spot. We get you onboarded and get you on calls right away. So I appreciate y'all. I will see you all on Thursday. Have a blessed rest of your week and be good. Peace.